Have you ever wondered how much you'd have to pay if you ever had to go to the ER, and how that amount could change depending on the health insurance plan you have? After all, the entire point of health insurance is to pay a predictable monthly premium so that really high healthcare costs that would otherwise be unaffordable become manageable with coverage. Well, in this video, I'm going to walk you through how much an ER visit could cost you with two of the most common plan types on the ACA marketplace, which are bronze and silver plans. Hey, I'm Shamy, a healthcare finance consultant, and this channel is all about helping you understand your health insurance to save money. So if that's something you're interested in, please subscribe down below. According to GoodRx.com, the average cost of an ER visit is between $2,400 and $2,600, and the types of services you're paying for typically include the facility fee, physician consultations, lab tests, imaging, and medication. You might also pay for observation stays and discharge and/or admin fees depending on your care. Before we crunch the numbers, let's talk about why the ER is so expensive to begin with and why the price can change from one visit to another. This is not an exhaustive list, but here are three key reasons. First is the level of care. When you go to the emergency room, the hospital decides how serious your situation is. Think of it like this. If someone walks into the ER with a small cut on their finger, that's a low-level emergency. But if someone comes in with chest pain, trouble breathing, that's a very high level of emergency. So the more serious the problem is, the more staff, the more time, the more tests, and the more scans that are needed to run. So the level of care goes up and the price goes up too. The second thing that affects the cost is location. Healthcare prices in the US are not the same everywhere, in much the same way that the cost of living in the US varies from location to location. An ER visit in a big city is often more expensive than an ER visit in a smaller town, because they have to pay their employees higher wages and the real estate costs are higher. So the same type of visit can cost more just depending on where you are. And the third thing is the type of hospital. Some hospitals are large academic medical centers, teaching hospitals, or trauma center. These hospitals treat very complex emergencies, and because of that, they usually have more specialists, more advanced equipment, and bigger teams of staff than a community or regional hospital. Now, all of that makes care better for serious emergencies, but it also makes it more expensive to operate the ER. And that leads to the big question: why is the ER so expensive in the first place? Well, the reason is something called fixed costs. Hospitals have to spend a lot of money just to stay ready. And emergency rooms in particular have got to be open 24/7, which means doctors need to be there, nurses need to be there, specialists need to be on call, and the hospitals also need equipment ready at any moment, even if the ER is completely empty. So a lot of the costs of an ER come from paying for that constant readiness. Now that you understand why ER visits can cost so much, let's crunch the numbers and see what that might actually mean for you depending on the health insurance plan that you have. All right, let's jump into the two plans we're going to compare. For these examples, we're going to be making a few assumptions. One, the ER visit costs $2,500 in line with the averages we discussed earlier. Two, $2,500 is the negotiated rate with your health insurance company for the ER services and the hospital for those ER services. Three, this visit counts towards your deductible. And four, all services are in-network and covered by the emergency services cost-sharing percentages or copay. Now, I won't be revealing specific plans' names because I don't endorse any plans, and this is purely for educational and informational purposes. Also remember that these are estimates and the actual cost, coverage, and how the benefits are applied may vary by plan. Let's get into it. Let's start off with the bronze plan. The bronze plan is a PPO individual plan. The coinsurance is 50% after the deductible, and the deductible is $7,500 per person. The out-of-pocket maximum is $9,400 per year. Here's how an ER visit could break down under this plan. We're using 3 cups for this example. This one is labeled price, and it's the total amount the ER expects to receive for its services, which is $2,500. Cup 2 is labeled U, which is your share of the costs. And Cup 3 is labeled plan, which is your insurance company's share of the costs. Now, if your deductible is fully met, then the 50% coinsurance applies. So you pay for half of your total visit, which is $1,250, and your plan pays for the other half. If your deductible hasn't been met at all, then you pay for everything out of pocket because your health insurance hasn't kicked in yet. This is by far the most expensive scenario. But if you've partially met your deductible already, then your cost is going to be somewhere between paying for half of the price to all of them, depending on how much of your deductible you've already paid by the time of your visit, and your plan will cover the rest. So it might look something like this. If you've already met your out-of-pocket max and you received all covered services and they're all in network, then you might pay $0 for this ER visit with your plan covering the entire $2,500. Next up is the Silver plan, which is also an individual PPO plan. This plan has a copay rather than a coinsurance for emergency services, and it's $800 after the deductible. The deductible is $5,450 per person, and the out-of-pocket maximum is $6,250 per plan year. If your deductible has been fully met by the time of your ER visit, then you just pay the $800 ER copay, and your plan pays for the remaining $1,700. If your deductible hasn't been met at all, then you're going to pay for everything until it hits, similar to the Bronze plan. And since the ER visit is $2,500 and it's less than the $5,450 deductible, you'll pay for it in full, and the plan is not going to pay for anything. If you've partially met your deductible, then you're going to be paying anywhere between that $800 copay and the $2,500 price, depending on where you are with your deductible, and your plan will just pay for the rest, like this. Now, if you've already met your out-of-pocket maximum and all of your services are covered services and are in network, then you pay $0 for the ER services, which means your plan will pay the entire $2,500. So to recap, if with both plans you won't meet your deductible until after your ER visit, you'll pay the full amount. But keep in mind you'll hit your deductible faster with the Silver plan than with the Bronze plan. If you've met your deductible by the time of your visit, you pay less with the Silver plan than with the Bronze plan. It takes longer to reach your out-of-pocket maximum with the Bronze plan than with the Silver plan, but once you do, you could pay as little as $0 if your services are covered and in network. I hope you've learned how you can think about estimating your ER costs with the different plan types. And remember that your plan numbers and rules may be different. If you want to learn more about estimating your healthcare costs, check out my video right here. Enjoy.